Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode. So I want you to picture this. You just sat down at your grandma's table to eat some dinner, and on the middle of the table there's a bread basket. And unveiled is one of the best breads of all time, yeast rolls. Today we are going to be making something that I love, something that you love, and something that people that have never had these love. We are going to be making yeast rolls completely from scratch. So without further ado, let's dive into this recipe and get started. So if you would, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe to my channel. Without further ado, let's dive into this video. Alright, so you're going to need 1.5 cups of warm water, 1 pack or 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast. Give that a stir, and then you're going to add in half a teaspoon of sugar to get this yeast something to eat. Give that another quick stir to help dissolve the sugar a little bit, and we're going to let that sit for 10 minutes until it becomes frothy. Into a large mixing bowl, add 4 cups of all-purpose flour and 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, followed up by half a cup of sugar. Use your whisk Jedi skills and then give this a whisk. And as always, if you're using table salt, be sure to use a little bit less because it's finer. Once that is whisked and your yeast mixture has become frothy, we can begin making this dough. If your yeast mixture didn't become frothy, it is likely dead and you will need to get a new pack of it from the store. So go ahead and add in your yeast to your mixing bowl. I like to give mine a swirl to be sure I get out all of those little pieces of yeast. Then in goes 3/4 a cup or 1.5 sticks of melted butter, unsalted, and 2 eggs at room temperature. Once your eggs have been added, we are going to take an electric mixer or whisk and combine these ingredients thoroughly. Just mixing this flour in here, it'll start to become very sticky and kind of climb up. And don't drop your machine like I did here. Then we're going to take a wooden spoon or spatula and mix the sides around. Then add in a cup of all-purpose flour. I recommend setting this aside during the beginning. And then we're just going to whisk this, realizing at this step that it's time to grab a spatula or a wooden spoon. So get that wooden spoon that you just had and kind of fold this dough together until you're ready to use your hands. So flour your hands. This is going to be a very sticky dough, and mostly this recipe is very easy for beginners. This might be a little bit intimidating, but the dough will not stick as bad after you work it a little bit. So you're just slapping it down, folding it, slapping it down, folding it, and you're going to do this for about 5 or 6 minutes until a lot of gluten has developed. So we're going to cover that, let it rest in the bowl for an hour, place it in your oven with the oven light on. You don't want the oven to be on, just the light. And then after that hour, we're going to flour a work surface and dump our dough out. So be sure you use a decent amount of flour here because this dough is going to spread out pretty far. So you can use a rolling pin, or you can just flour the top and use your hands like I do. That worked perfectly fine for me because we're making rolls here. We're not making uniform cinnamon rolls or something like that. So I'm just kind of patting mine out from the center outward until it is roughly 1/4 inch thick all the way around. So you can flour the top as needed, but you kind of want to work quick here so it doesn't stick to your countertop. Then as you can see, this dough is nice and bubbly. It's got a few little bubbles here and there. Using a 3-inch biscuit cutter, cut out as many rounds as you can and then set those on a parchment lined baking sheet or aluminum foil with cooking spray until all of your dough has been used. So I just rolled my dough ball out again, the excess, and then cut out more of these. I would recommend using parchment paper here because the bottom of mine got somewhat brown. It was still very good and I didn't notice that much of a difference, but it might result in a lighter bottom. So we're just going to flour the tops of these. This will provide a nice texture to the top and prevent sticking. Cover these for 45 minutes with a damp dish towel, and in the meantime you can enjoy my dancing skills. Now that I've scarred your memory for life, you can pull back your dish towel and just notice how much that these have risen. As you can see, they've become nice and puffy, which is exactly what you want. So as of now, these are ready to be baked, but on this one I'm going to brush the top with butter, and on that one I'm not. So I'm just taking some melted butter and brushing the top before baking, and we're going to taste test these and see if there's much of a difference. So just get a little brush and then kind of base the top with some butter, and you're good to go. Alright, so in an oven that has been preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, we're going to be baking these between 12 and 15 minutes. I would say that mine took about 13 minutes to be fully cooked, but all ovens are different, so be sure to keep an eye on these while they cook. And before you know it, you'll have yeast rolls fit for a king. Alright everybody, the bake is complete. We now have our yeast rolls out of the oven, ready to go, so let's taste test these things. Alright, so here I have both of these yeast rolls cooked the exact same way. One just has butter on top, one doesn't, so this one's a little bit darker on top because of the butter. Here, let me set this one aside. So as you can see, this thing looks absolutely perfect. Just what you would expect from a yeast roll, and then it's also got a nice brown bottom. That looks a lot darker with my hand there, but it's not burnt. Nice golden brown bottom, nice top. So let's give this a taste test. I want you to look at that. We did it this time. So now here's the one with just the flour on top, no butter. Classic yeast roll. It's got the sweetness that you know and love out of a yeast roll. And this bottom, I honestly thought this bottom was going to be a little bit more crispy, but it's not. It's just like you'd expect from a yeast roll. Nice floury texture on the outside. Unbeatable. It's chewy, it's sweet, it's buttery. Nice floury outside that we all know and love in yeast rolls. I want to see what Dylan's reaction to this is, so I'm going to go get him real quick. I want you to taste test it. Tell me what you think. On a scale of 1 to 10. 9.5. What do you like about it? It's really airy. Like a normal yeast roll that you find? Man, a few words. Round of applause, everybody. Alright everybody, I'm going to end the video here. I'm on my third one of these, so I'm going to end the video here before I eat the entire pan. If you like this video, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to this channel if you learn something new or like the content. We'll be doing a giveaway and a special video at 100 subscriptions. So if you want to be a part of that, go ahead and subscribe down below. And I will see you guys on the next one.